In an airplane cabin, there was a man with chest tightness and shortness of breath. The flight attendant immediately asked if there was a doctor here. The young man hesitantly raised his hand. "It's me." Then he became a hero in the eyes of everyone there. But they didn't know. Actually, he's not a doctor. He's a failed medical student. Moreover, because he's in debt, so want to kill himself. Seeing his medical record is myocardial anemia, immediately needing surgery. He was sure that he won't be able to do it, because he hasn't touched the knife yet. Unexpected that this wife would get up again and said, "Please do surgery immediately." He was worried and afraid he would harm him, so his eyes shifted back and forth. Finally, he said, "I cannot do it alone. Unless on the plane there is an anesthesiologist and nurse." The flight attendant immediately asks if there is an anesthesiologist here. Immediately a purple guy answers. The flight attendant asks if there is a nurse here. "Blessing." A beautiful girl replied. 1 second gathered, but when they walked over to the patient, they were all embarrassed because she wasn't the real nurse either. Just a girl in a bar all day wearing a cosplay nurse. So for a long time, if someone calls out the nurse, she immediately reacts unconditionally. On the other side, the anesthesiologist is not real. He is a comic book author. So both of them thought, "There's a doctor here, so it's probably okay." Now he suddenly thought, without surgical tools, it can't be done. We could not do surgery. Had to go back to Japan. The staff was going to tell the captain. Suddenly a man stopped him. He pulled out a knife. Everyone was shocked. There was also robbery on the plane. He had to use a knife to control the employee. But even this knife is not real. It is just a model of the airplane wings. He just accidentally broke it off. Withdraw. It was misunderstood as a knife. But he didn't want to go back to Japan. He worked for 20 years without a year of rest. It is challenging to get 4 days off. He definitely has to go out. So he plans to succeed in robbery. This time the flight attendant's mind is also extremely confused. It turns out that he is not a real flight attendant, but is an old man of a terrorist group pretending to be a flight attendant to try to rob. The next person is confused. That was the girl. Don't guess that she is a flight attendant or not. She was also in a terrorist group but was a trainee. After 3 months of integration, she had to act. So she was not very happy. She hurried over to contact the captain. The captain picked up the phone. Right. The captain was also fake. He was just an ordinary flight attendant. So he just flattered the captain, made him a cup of rosemary tea. Resulted makes him poison food. He had to change him to fly an airplane. The patient's status has turned bad. People are very worried. Suddenly someone in vest said, "On the plane, there are surgical tools in the back kitchen." The child next to it said again, "This Pei is not the best guitar fantasy star here." At this time, inside the suit uncle was dancing. He is also not the best guitar at all. He was a surgeon once guilty of manslaughter, therefore, he cannot hold his scalpel anymore. The flight attendant took out the surgical tools and everyone was expecting him to save people. He wants to refuse but in his heart thinks, the whole life he has never been so expected. So he immediately talked it small, then began surgery. The patient's wife beside expressed her deep gratitude, but now she was in a panic. She's not a patient's wife at all, just a stranger. A lifelong dream is to be a wife, so pretend to be the wife of the patient. Now the man looked at the clock and said, "Time is now 1 hour 30 minutes to start surgery." The clock on the wall recounts, "I'm actually a thermometer, not a clock." The man opened the patient's chest, but the more he thinks the more can't do it. Just then he thought of something. It was a man in a suit showing the place for the surgical tools. Go over and ask if he is. The uncle was very urgent to deny. The boy next to him naturally answered, "He is the best guitarist in the world." The uncle immediately admitted. At this point, you still do not understand why the characters are so wobbly, right? Then he robbed him back to want him to play a song. There's no way because to hide the identity, he started playing the guitar. Suddenly someone looked out and said, "He must be fake." This statement hits everyone who is using their fake status. The anesthesiologist, nurse, the wife, the flight attendant, and the robber. He didn't know where to get his confidence. He wanted to tell the truth. At this time, the boy stood up again. He is not fake. That's great. So repeatedly applauded with everyone. He is confident again. But under such bizarre cheers, everyone is as serious as possible. Even this fake captain also spoke. "Come here, Hurricane, show you the benefits of fake captain. What's good here?" In the end, the plane successfully operated on the ground. The nurse said, "If I try I can become a real nurse." The man also said he had to draw more therapeutic paintings. Later, having to work as a career could save more people. Eventually, the camera turned to the patient. I was hoping he could say a sentence. "Actually, I am not a real patient." But is he gone? Can you guess?